Welcome back to The Manager, presented by Outlier Sports. I'm your host, Gianni Frangella. It has been a while. Man, I I think my last episode was 3 weeks ago. I recorded one last week, did not get around to editing it in time, and then the ensuing games came, and I just felt like it was, why even put it up? Um, I recorded one yesterday with my good friend Ahmad. It's supposed to be the first time we had a guest on the show. He lives out of state, so we use this website called Riverside. We're supposed to record podcasts, over Zoom calls. Recorded it for about 50 minutes, and then when I went to edit the file, it said it was corrupted. Total wash. I recorded pretty much just now, like 30 minutes ago. And then I got done, and I realized, the mic I was using had died. So this is all charged up. If you're seeing this, it finally got out there. And really just, I've had, it hasn't been as easy to get this done just because school's ramped up. And life, man, just a lot going on in life. Sometimes you just wish you could press pause, but you can't. You got to keep going. The show goes on. And so does this one. So let's get into the scores from week 10. All right. Starting off, the worst football game I've probably ever watched in my life with the Broncos and the Raiders on Thursday Night Football, 10-7. This was a stinker. 12 punt. I think it was actually 14 punts between both teams. Just horrible stuff. Broncos edge out with a win, 10-7. Thank God. Colts 31-25 over the Falcons in London. This was a really exciting game. Jonathan Taylor had a huge game. We'll talk a little bit more about him later. Jets and the Browns, 27-20. I got to be honest. Besides the kick return and the punt return by the Jets in this game, I didn't see a single highlight or know anything else that happened. And, I pride myself on being an analyst, but I really don't regret not knowing a whole lot about the Browns and the Jets game. I stand by that. Panthers lose to the Saints at home in Carolina, 17-7. Tyler Shugg gets the Saints another win on the season. Maybe a little bit of hope in New Orleans. Probably not, though. Patriots beat the Buccaneers 28-23 in Tampa Bay. This was a really entertaining game. Bucs had a chance, just could not score when they needed to. Ravens 27-19 over the Vikings in Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy did not look good this game. Really rough outing for him. Bills lose to the Dolphins in Miami 30-13. They got smoked. Devon Chain with a huge game. We'll also talk about him later. Giants played the Bears in Chicago. The Giants are actually leading most of this game, and then Jackson Dart leaves the game with concussion. Bears come back late, win 24-20. Texans come back against the Jaguars, win 36-29 at home. They were losing pretty much the whole game. Davis Mills leads them on a comeback. How about him? Seahawks demolish the Cardinals 44-22. It was 35-0 at one point. Another game, 44-22. Lions over the Commanders in Washington. No surprise there, no Jaden Daniels. Rams 42-26 over the 49ers. They get their revenge after a week 5 loss on Thursday Night Football. Chargers 25-10 over the Steelers on Sunday night. Not a super entertaining game there either. And then Monday night, Eagles and the Packers. That Broncos-Raiders game, I thought I might never go my whole life seeing a football game that bad. And it took 4 days because this Eagles-Packers game was just as bad. It was 0-0 at halftime. Eagles ultimately win 10-7 in Green Bay. And then for Week 11, Patriots already beat the Jets. I believe the final score is 27-14. And unfortunately for me, largely at the hand of Travion Henderson, who I played in fantasy. That was a tough break. But what can you do? Commanders play the Dolphins in Madrid, Spain. Big stuff. I believe this is the first game that's ever been played in Madrid. So big stuff for the NFL. Give me the Dolphins. Commanders look not that good with Mariota. Packers against the Giants. Brian Dabble has been fired, so this will be their first game without him. And Jackson Dart is not playing, which means Jameis Winston is the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. You know what? Call me superstitious. Call me a little hopeful, giddy with childlike wonder. I'm going with the Giants because of Jameis Winston. Texans play the Titans in Nashville. Give me the Texans. Even with Davis Mills, Titans just are terrible. Panthers play the Falcons in Atlanta. You know, this is tough because I think both teams have a lot to play for here. Simply for the fact that the Panthers lost last week to the Saints at home. That's embarrassing. The Falcons lost to the Panthers last time they played. They got shut out 30-0. That's embarrassing. Both teams have a lot to play for. Considering the Falcons are at home, give me the Falcons. Bears play the Vikings in Minnesota. You know, I thought it'd be a long time before I would say this sentence out loud. Give me the Bears over the Vikings in Minnesota. But the Bears are good, man. And J.J. McCarthy is not. I was never high on him coming into the draft. Was not super high on him this year. He does not look good right now. He looked good against the Lions, but looked really bad this past week against the Ravens. I'm going with the Bears. And they have more to play for as well, considering they really should have had that game week 1 against them. They blew it. So this is a bit of a revenge game for them. Excuse me. Chargers play the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Give me the Chargers. I think they're starting to pick up some steam. Buccaneers play the Bills in Buffalo. Give me the Bills. Both teams want to bounce back, but the Bills are at home. They need to bounce back more because they really got embarrassed last week. I think they're the better team anyway. Give me the Bills. Bengals play the Steelers in Pittsburgh. You know, this I've thought about this one all week, and I've kind of flip-flopped, but I think I'm going to go with the Steelers, who was my original pick, because the Bengals won last time. Steelers at home. You know what? Give me the Steelers. 49ers play the Cardinals. We're in the evening slate now. 49ers play the Cardinals in Arizona. Brock Purdy is back this week. Give me the 49ers. This is the game of the week, in my opinion, right here. Seahawks play the Rams in LA. These are the two best teams in the NFC, in my opinion. I'm going with the Rams because I've said multiple times that I think the Rams are the best team in the NFC, and I still believe that. Give me the Rams. Chiefs play the Broncos in Denver. Oh boy, this is the game of the week for me personally. But like, I for real entertainment value, definitely watch the Seahawks and the Rams. Oh, who do I think's going to win this game? Well, here's the thing. If you don't know, I'm a Broncos fan. My heart and my mind have two different predictions for this game. I think you can decipher which one thinks which team is going to win. Official prediction, I got to ride with my boys. Give me the Broncos. I'm a superstitious man, but I got to ride with my team. Give me the Broncos. Ravens play the Browns. Tell me how it is. Give me the Ravens, obviously. I don't care that's in Cleveland. Give me the Ravens. Lions play the Eagles on Sunday night. This is a game. This should be interesting. Give me the Lions. Eagles' offense is not impressive to me, and the Lions' offense is very impressive to me. Give me the Lions. Cowboys play the Raiders on Monday Night Football in Las Vegas. Give me the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys. All right. Now, let's get into the rundown. First things first, as we always do, we go over the Super Bowl matchup. Now, the last one I gave was the Bills and the Rams 3 weeks ago. It would have been Bills Rams in the week I didn't do it. It would have been the Bills Rams last week in the week. I mean, that's what I said last week when I recorded and I didn't post it. That is not what I'm saying this week. Unfortunately, it's like Thanos, man. You can dread from it, run from it. Destiny arrives all the same. I have the Chiefs winning the AFC, playing the Rams. Oh, I just feel like I've been running from the inevitable. And you might ask, like, what made me flip this? Because the Chiefs didn't even play this last week. It's because of the Bills. And it's not, simply they lost to the Dolphins. It just kind of reminded me that part of them that can't get past Kansas City, that is a little bit susceptible to, flopping and blundering is still there. And I know they beat the Chiefs in the regular season. They did last year too. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to go with the Chiefs Rams. That's what I think in my heart. And I know you're saying, but hold on, Gianni, they're 5-4. They're not even in the playoffs right now. And in fact, you just predict the Broncos to win this game. So they'll be 5-5. You think they're going to go to the Super Bowl? Yes. All right. Yeah. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. All right. That's what I think. Dark horses. Buccaneers and the 49ers. This has been the same for me for a while. Those are the only two teams that I really classify as dark horses that I could see winning the Super Bowl. There are other teams that I think have that possibility, but I just don't think you can really classify them as a dark horse. Now, we're going to play What's the Ceiling? I believe I've done this before with the NFL. I know I did it with the NBA. What is the ceiling for the Denver Broncos? Yours truly, my favorite team. Well, let's get down to it. This team has an elite defense. I think the best in the league. Certainly the best defensive line in the league with Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, Franklin Myers. This is a stacked D-line that is leading the league in sacks by a large margin and is on pace for the most sacks of all time by a team in a single season. The record is 76. They're on pace for 78. Very impressive stuff. A little bit of context. When the Broncos won the Super Bowl in 2015, Super Bowl 50, the year they had Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, TJ Ward, Aqib Talib, Chris Harris, just a stacked defense, all-time defense, no fly zone, as the youngsters call it. They had 52 sacks. They led the league in sacks that year with 52 sacks. This team's already at 46, this Broncos team, through 10 weeks. They are going to smoke that number. They could tie that number in this next week. I'm not saying specifically because of the Chiefs, but just because they get sacks like that every game. And I do think they're going to have a good bit of sacks against the Chiefs. The defense is the best in the league, in my opinion. I can say that confidently. What is closer to worst in the league is the offense. It is a joke. And that's the thing with this Chiefs game. That's why I'm really so skeptical about it. It's not even just because of the Chiefs, but you cannot survive another game. You cannot survive a game against the Kansas City Chiefs with an offensive outing like that. You cannot. They will destroy you. And you can only throw that defense back out there so many times and expect them to bail you out. That's not going to work this week. It's not Geno Smith on the other side of the field that the defense has to stop. It's Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so the offense has to show up this week. But in general, we're talking about this team and their ceiling. The offense is not consistent at the very least, even when it has good games. And I know a lot is to be said about Bo Nix. I think it's a little out of proportion. He's holding the team back. The only two games they lost on a last-second field goal, and it was not his fault. So I don't think he's holding the team back at all. We've won 7 straight games. Pump the brakes on holding the team back. They need to draft another quarterback. Sean Payton's considering drafting another quarterback. I don't think that's true, and I don't think that they should. Let me read you a statistic comparing his stats to Patrick Mahomes. And let me preface this by saying, because the response to this tweet, literally just stating the facts and the stats of them too, was all over the place. Let me preface this. I am not saying that I think Bo Nix is as good or close to as good as Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that I would rather have Bo Nix over Patrick Mahomes or that it's even a close debate. I'm just going to list you their numbers since the beginning of last year, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm saying these numbers. Mahomes, 6,277 passing yards. And again, this is since the beginning of 2024. 6,277 passing yards. Bo Nix, 5,901. Mahomes, 43 passing touchdowns. Bo Nix, 47 passing touchdowns. Mahomes, 16 interceptions. Bo Nix, 20 interceptions. Mahomes, 592 rushing yards. Bo Nix, 635 rushing yards. Mahomes, 6 rushing touchdowns. Bo Nix, 7 rushing touchdowns. So here's why I brought up that statistic. One of these quarterbacks is still considered by many to be the best quarterback in the league. The other quarterback is holding his team back. They need to get it. They are calling for his job. They need to get another quarterback. They need to draft another quarterback. Some fans think they should go to Jarrett Stidham. I think that's outrageous. All I'm saying is these narratives have to become a little closer in some way. I don't even think people should change their narratives about Mahomes. I would probably say, yeah, all in all things considered, he probably is the best quarterback in the league. I don't think Bo Nix should be close to that. I just don't think we should be calling for his job. I don't think that he's been so terrible that we need to call for his job and that he's holding the team back. And another thing is, I don't think our offensive struggles are really all on him. Now I know the joke about it's like the meme with Buzz from Toy Story, and it's like fans when their young QB shits the bed again. Oh, the OC did it again. I get that meme, and I agree. Bo Nix needs to be better. He needs to play better. But have you seen the play calling? I mean, it is screen pass after screen pass after screen pass, and none of them work, and they keep playing it. This play calling is horrible. It is putrid by Sean Payton. I think it's more to blame than Bo Nix. Bo Nix is not blameless, but I think the play calling is more to blame. Both of those factors need to improve before the playoffs. All things considered, though, with the defense, with the really shoddy offense, my verdict is this team will go no further than the AFC Championship. That's just how I feel. I don't think that you can rally this offense together and make it successful for consecutive games long enough to get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl. I just don't see that this year. And that's just me being objective. I love the Broncos with all my heart. I wish I could lie to you and be biased, but come on. I got a show to run. What is the ceiling for the Indianapolis Colts? Well, they added Sauce Gardner to a secondary that I think really needed him. They can get turnovers. They are third in the league in interceptions. However, seventh in the league in most pass yards allowed. And I think Sauce is a great addition for literally that exact style. Because you don't need him to get you turnovers. And he doesn't necessarily flourish in getting turnovers, but he's a great coverage cornerback. So I think he's a great addition for them. This team also has an elite offensive line that blocks for the best running back in the league, Jonathan Taylor, by a large margin. It is Jonathan Taylor. Here's the thing, though. Their quarterback is Daniel Jones. And I know he's having a great year. He's doing a lot better. But we're starting to see that Daniel Jones that we all knew and loved and made lots of jokes about in New York. We're starting to see him come back out to play. I mean, he's turning the ball over. He's fumbling the ball. Specifically, the Steelers game, he had 5 turnovers. That's outrageous. And this is my thing. You can have a great team. You're really only going to go as far as your quarterback can take you. I mean, one could argue you can only go as far as your running back can take you, as Jonathan Taylor. And I don't mean that theory for any team, but I just mean like this team in particular, they're really probably going to only go as far as Jonathan Taylor can take them, in spite of what Daniel Jones may or may not do to hinder their success. We've seen how that worked with Derrick Henry. I believe it was about 5 or 6 years ago, where Lamar Jackson won MVP. Derrick Henry, the Titans, they come into a 14-2 Ravens house, and he runs all over them. He turns Earl Thomas into his blocker. And he took them as far as they could take them, and that was the next game because the Chiefs honed all their focus on him. And that's the thing. All a team really has to do is focus all their efforts on Jonathan Taylor and put the game in Daniel Jones' hands. He's likely, I'd say confidently he's likely to screw it up. He's likely to ruin it, to lose the game, to turn the ball over when you put it in his hands. I just don't trust him to get this team where it needs to. And at some point, you need more than just Jonathan Taylor because they're going to focus all their efforts on him and make Daniel Jones take you to the Super Bowl. And I just don't think he can do it. So my verdict for them is they will go no further than the AFC Championship game. What is the ceiling for the Seattle Seahawks? Well, they have JSN, who is arguably the best receiver in the league. He's leading the league in receiving yards. They are well coached. They have a good defense. They have a solid run game between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, mostly Zach Charbonnet. But I'm not sold on Sam Darnold. It's very similar with Daniel Jones, even though he's having a better year than Daniel Jones, and he's having a great year. I know he's been hot lately. I worry about him in the bright lights. It takes it takes a lot. You like look at the Lions last year, and this has been my critique for the Lions this year as well. Is Jared Goff? Yeah, the team's great. They have this incredible offense, great coordinator, all these weapons. But at the end of the day, do you believe in Jared Goff to take them to the promised land? No, you don't. And it showed when he turned the ball over a bunch in that game. They win 15 games. Didn't matter. It did not matter. All it takes is one game for those demons of that turnover machine to show up, like we've seen with Sam Darnold, like we've seen with Jared Goff, like we've seen with Daniel Jones. All it takes is for one game for that guy to show up, and your whole season's over. And I think I'll put it like this: I'm not confident that the Seahawks can get 3 or 4 games in a row in the playoffs with the where the lights are bright, when the pressure's on, where that version of Sam Darnold doesn't show up. And for that reason, I see them going no further than the NFC Championship. That's my prediction. I'm not saying, I know this is what's the ceiling. I'm not saying they can't go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl. My prediction is they go no further than the NFC Championship. What is the ceiling for the Chicago Bears? This one's kind of fun because it's a new young team. I think they're a very similar spot to the Broncos, like that the Broncos were in last year, where you have this playoff drought for a long time. You struggled for a long time. Fans are miserable. But now, you have a lot to be happy about. The team was winning games. Specifically, Caleb Williams has arrived. He has arrived. He looks really good. He's making clutch plays. He's making big time plays. Very exciting to see. The Ben Johnson offense is working. They have the third most yards per game on offense. Let me say that again. The Chicago Bears have the third most yards per game on offense. That sentence alone is unbelievable, and it's true. A lot of credit to Ben Johnson and what he's done for this team. The Swift and Monungai backfield is very impressive. Kyle Monungai's coming along. DeAndre Swift has had a great year. That's going to be dangerous. But the defense is shaky. They do have the most turnovers in the league by a wide margin. They have the most turnovers by 6. However, they give up the 6th most yards per game. And I think in a playoff game, in a playoff setting, you can't rely on getting turnovers. You have to get stops. And so for that reason, my verdict is they will go no further than the divisional round. But hey, even if they don't win a game, even if they lose in a wild card round, making the playoffs, huge success. That is a slam dunk of a season for the Chicago Bears, given, what their recent history has been. Now let's get into the MVP ladder. Matthew Stafford is my number one, remaining at number one. 269 yards per game, first in the league. 25 touchdowns, first in the league by 5, despite already having his bye. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, 7-2 record. Number 2, Jonathan Taylor. 114 yards per game, first in the league. 15 touchdowns, first in the league by 4, only 1 fumble, 8-2 record, in 5 games with 3 touchdowns. That is unreal. And I'll get into the cases and arguments for all of them here in a second. Third on the list, I have Drake May, 253 yards per game. This may not be totally, the yards per game may not be up to date because they played last night. 253 yards per game, which is 8th in the league. 20 touchdowns, which is 2nd. 5 interceptions, 8-2 record. Here's the thing. I know Drake May is a favorite. I know Drake May is who people really, want to win the MVP right now. But they have the weakest, and literally, I'm not saying like as a hyperbole or exaggeration, literally the weakest schedule in all of football. And it's like not really close. And I have to take that into account. And when I compare him to Stafford, the other quarterback option here, he has less yards per game. He has less touchdowns by 5, despite playing 2 more games. He's got 3 more interceptions. And I know Matthew Stafford has Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams. I know he's got these great weapons. But I don't think that's enough. Him having better weapons is enough to overlook that he's better than Drake May in all these statistics, in passing yards, in touchdowns by a lot, less interceptions, stronger strength of schedule. And you look at their losses too. Let's compare their losses. Who did the Rams lose to? Well, they lost to the Eagles off of a blocked field goal at the last second that they were, very close to winning the game. Stafford threw a pick in that game. He wasn't great. I still think, I don't hold it terribly against him because they were about to kick a field goal to win the game. He put him in a position to win the game, and special teams let him down. But he threw a pick. Wasn't great. I'll give you that one. Thursday Night Football, Week 5 against the San Francisco 49ers, he threw for almost 400 yards and had 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. They literally get to, the 3-yard line with less than a minute left, and Kyron Williams fumbles the ball right in front of the goal line. I don't know what to tell you. I can't blame that loss on Matthew Stafford. But those are both losses against good teams. One of them, the reigning champions, the number 1 seed in the NFC. And they beat the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Colts. Well, who did Drake May lose to? The Las Vegas Raiders? Come again? The Las Vegas Raiders, and he threw an interception in that game. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he threw an interception. And then he lost to the Steelers. That's not a bad loss. The Steelers beat the Colts, too. The Steelers are a good team, playoff team. But the strength of schedule alone is more impressive for Stafford, but the strength of losses is more impressive. I think you could argue maybe Drake May has more impressive wins because he's beaten the Buccaneers and the Bills on the road, whereas Stafford's best win was the Colts. But beyond that, kind of some bad teams. The 49ers, I guess, is the second most impressive win. But ultimately, the strength of schedule, strength of losses doesn't lie. I can't let the fact that Stafford has better weapons outweigh all of these things. More passing yards, more touchdowns, less interceptions, stronger strength of schedule, stronger losses. I'm sorry. That's not enough for me. And I've seen some people say, their whole argument argues on a hypothetical of if Drake May had these guys, he'd be putting up the same, if not better numbers. I disagree with that entirely. I don't think that's the case. But even if it were, hypotheticals is not what decides the MVP. I'm sorry. I don't think it should. And so I disagree with that. Another narrative I've seen get played in favor of Drake May is oh, well, Stafford's had all the experience. Drake May's doing this while he's young. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter for MVP. I'm sorry. You don't get brownie points because you're younger. No, that's ridiculous. Miss me with that. And frankly, I have Jonathan Taylor ahead of Drake May because I think what he's doing is more impressive. But why is he not ahead of Stafford? Well, here's why. I was a big supporter of Christian McCaffrey winning the MVP a couple years ago when Lamar Jackson won. And to me, it felt like Lamar had the best case of any quarterback when really no quarterback had that great of a case, but it was the best case of any other quarterbacks. So they just gave it to him. But he absolutely was not more impressive, nor was any quarterback that year more impressive than what Christian McCaffrey did. So after that, I just kind of felt like, well, is a non-quarterback ever really going to win it? Jonathan Taylor is a great case, and this is a great stat that my buddy Ahmad, who I recorded the podcast, The File Got Corrupted with yesterday, he threw the stat out, and I think this is a great point. The last time the scoring title was not won by a kicker, it was LaDainian Tomlinson in 2006, and he won MVP. Jonathan Taylor currently has a scoring title. So, by that precedent that was set with LaDainian Tomlinson, if he holds this at the end of the season, he should win MVP. And I totally agree with that. I would put him ahead of Stafford if he holds the scoring title by the end of the year. But as of right now, I got Stafford first because I just think what he's doing is so impressive. Most specifically, the touchdown to interception ratio. He has that as 25-2. That's 12.5 touchdowns to every one interception. The best touchdown to interception ratio across a single season of all time was Tom Brady in 2008, the year that they went 16-0. His was 14-1. So he's creeping up on the best touchdown to interception ratio of all time. Now, he hasn't thrown an interception in the last 7 weeks. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he won't throw one for the last 8. I will tell you he is going to absolutely smoke those 28 touchdowns that Tom Brady had. He might beat that this weekend. I mean, he's had 13 touchdowns in the last 3 games. So he could still get the ratio, even if he throws another interception. If he throws 2 more, he won't get it. But, I mean, you can say what you want about the weapons that he has. But to me, throwing the ball this many times a game, getting these yards, getting these touchdowns, but only having 2 interceptions. If he had like 8 or 10 interceptions, I would, I might not even have him up here. But it's the fact that he's throwing the ball this much, having this much success in not turning the ball over, and they're winning games. And if they win this week against the Seahawks, I mean, I'm going to be really hard to sway otherwise about Stafford. So that's my MVP ladder. Stafford number 1. That's my guy. Stars of the week. Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a walk-off touchdown against the Falcons. Man, that was an impressive performance. Devon Achane had 22 carries with 174 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, 6 catches for 51 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, 3 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown in the air. Very, very impressive stuff, man. Who did what? Jalen Naylor with 5 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown. This segment's a little, I try and pick people that people may not know. You probably know who Jalen Naylor is, but he had a much more impressive week than he had all year. Disappointments. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 11 carries for 30 yards. That's terrible. A.J. Brown, his second time on this list, by the way. 2 catches, 13 yards, and 1 really good quote where he said, "If I'm on your fantasy team, trade me," which I thought was really funny because a guy in my league just had traded for him. And he gave up Kyren Williams to get it. I felt like I gave him a better offer for Kyren Williams, but, it's just my opinion. Brock Bowers, 1 catch for 31 yards. Very disappointing week for him, especially after the scorcher of a game that he had the week before. Let's revisit some predictions and takes. Chargers win the AFC West and make the AFC Championship. The first part's definitely still in play. I don't think they make the AFC Championship. It's possible, but I don't think so. I think the first part is very much still in play, especially if we lose this weekend. I don't want it to happen, but, very much in play. Buccaneers win several more clutch games. I feel like this has technically already been proven true. They won 2 more nail-biters after I said this. But nonetheless, we'll keep it up there. We'll watch it closely. They had a chance to do another one this week against the Patriots. Couldn't score when they needed to. This one, I might as well give up on. Jags and Colts both make the playoffs. I don't know what, the Jags look really impressive at the time, but they've just been really bad since. And Travis Hunter's out for the year. Brian Thomas has been hurt. They blew this game against the Texans. It's just not going to happen. And basically, for this to happen, you're looking at the Chiefs or the Chargers missing the playoffs and them getting in over them. I don't see that happening. I think the Ravens have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Colts do. I'm not going to put that up there on the take board, but that's just how I feel. My good friend Ahmad gave this take yesterday when we recorded the podcast that you'll never see, the lost tapes, if you will. He said Nick Bonito will win the sack title. He is a sack and a half behind. I said earlier, I believe in my last episode, that Nick Bonito will win the DPOY. It got a little scary there for a second because he went 3 weeks without a sack, but then he got a sack and a half against the Raiders last week. I'm sticking with it. And that is all I have for this week. If you have not, please go watch the first Outlier Sports documentary out now on the channel, following my good friend Michael Adams, who is the team manager for the LSU women's basketball team. He was a team manager when they won. I had a nice little documentary. 8 minutes long, following him around, a little expose on him, if you will. It was a lot of fun. Huge thanks to him for doing it. Huge thanks to the LSU women's basketball team for allowing me to, record and be around the team. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed doing it. Please go check that out if you have not watched it. I would greatly appreciate it. With that being said, that has been all for The Manager, presented by Outlier Sports. I'm your host, Gianni Frangella. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day.